Hey everyone, welcome to the Blazing Faith Podcast. I'm your host, Josh, and today I'm going to be interviewing myself because today we're beginning a new series called That Really Hurt. And today's title of the podcast is going to be That Broke Me. And although I've been very blessed, I've been through some pretty hard seasons in my life. But right now I'm going through a season that's maybe not hard, but it hurts a lot. And today, I hope that I can encourage you by showing you that even in your hurt and even in your struggle, that you're not going through this alone and that there is a God who loves you and who sees you in your struggle. So I got my first job in ministry at Southwest Baptist. Shout out to Gary over at Southwest here in Jacksboro. I did students there for a few years, and then I moved down to an amazing town called Newton, Texas, and I was there for a little while, and I did student ministry down there. And we planted a church called the Light Church, and man, it has been the most amazing ride. The last 9 years planting the Light Church, it was just wild, but it was so much fun, and I could just see God's hand all over it. So for 9 years, I poured everything that I had into the Light Church. I mean, our family, we gave so much. So we had I've been pastoring the Light for about 8 years at the time that I'm going to start talking about. And everything just finally started to feel so good. Everything just started to feel so smooth. I mean, it was just almost like, I hate to even say it, but we finally got comfortable for the first time. Like Brittany had just graduated with her master's, and she had a great job. She was working for Texas Tech as a mental health clinician or something like that. I'm not really sure what it was, but she had an amazing job. I had just the previous year had just shut my construction businesses down, and I was finally on paid staff at the church, and I was there full time, and that was good. And for the first time, we didn't have a kid in diapers. Our kids could get themselves in their car seats. I mean, it was just like, man, life finally just started to feel good. And in the middle of that, I stood up to preach last fall, and as I stood up and got behind the pulpit, I remember, I'll never forget, I just felt like God told me, "You're done here." And it was like, what? No, everything is going so good. Like, God, how in the world could I be done here at the Light? And God was like, "You're done." So I had no clue what that looked like. I just knew that God was moving me, and I sat on that for a few weeks because I didn't want to bring it up to Brittany and her ask me a bunch of questions, and then my answer to all of these be, "I'm not sure, I don't know what the answer is." And so I just sat on it for a few weeks. I wanted to make sure that was what I was supposed to do. And so then I finally told Brittany, and I said, "Hey, this is what I feel like God's laying on my heart, that He's moving us." And she immediately was like, "No, it's not God. I don't think that's God. You need to recalibrate, keep praying, whatever." And I said, will you just pray about it with me?" And a month or two later, she came up to me. I really let it rest. It was still on my heart. And she came up to me and she said, "Hey, I agree. I think God's moving us. I think God's moving us right now." And this began my journey of my identity crisis. This began my journey of, what does life look like not at the Light Church? This began my journey of, what does life look like if I'm not a pastor? Like, if my nickname is the Bearded Bishop, then do I have to shave my beard if I'm not actually a pastor? Like what does life look like? So Brittany and I prayed on it. And this past summer, after praying on it for a while, we just really felt like if God was calling me out, then I needed to get out of the way. And so I stepped down this past summer. You can call me dumb, you can call me naive, but I completely underestimated how hard that this season was going to be. I knew that telling the church was going to be hard, but it was the things that came after telling the church that was actually the hardest part. The rumors, they came immediately. I mean, it was crazy, the rumors in a small town that get kicked up so fast. It was, hey, Josh had this moral failure. Josh was stealing money from the church. Josh is in a stage of depression. Like, some of them were even worse than all of those, if you can imagine that or not. Like, there were some really bad rumors that made its way back to me. Like, it's wild, right? I mean, like, we preach faith every single week. I would preach faith. Hey, if God calls you, you've got to do it. Like, partial disobedience is full-blown disobedience. Like, I would preach these things on a weekly basis to our congregation, but when it was time for me to exercise faith, it was like, oh, that's not a good enough reason. Like, faith isn't a good enough reason. Like, we've got to make some rumors up about this guy. And the rumors hurt. I'm not gonna lie, like, rumors hurt. But that wasn't actually what hurt the worst. The thing that hurt even worse than the rumors was the people who I knew, the people who I loved, who maybe didn't start the rumors, but they actually believed the rumors to be true. Like, you chose to believe rumors about me rather than believe me, or to believe that it was faith that was causing me to leave. Like, you chose to believe rumors about me rather than taking up for me. Like, those things hurt. Like, I mean, it really hurt. Like, it was like, I've been there for you. I've been in your living room praying with you and with your family. I've held your babies. Like I've done these things. You've trusted me to shepherd your family as your pastor for years, but yet all of a sudden these rumors come out and you actually believe the rumors to be true. You can't actually accept that it was faith that caused me to actually step down. And I want to make something very clear. Like, this isn't my opportunity to air out dirty laundry. I would never use this platform to do that. This is my opportunity to say, hey, I've been a pastor for 18 years, and for the first time in 18 years, I can actually be a human and say what's actually on my mind. And I can tell you this, that this season broke me. I mean, this season was the worst. And it wasn't that this season broke me, it was people that broke me. And the devil was quick to jump in. He was quick to say, hey, you wasted your time. Like, how could people move on so quickly without you? Like your friendship wasn't even real. Like, they don't text message you anymore. You're just a bother to those people. And it hurt. I wasn't depressed. I know what depression feels like. I've spent a season in a time of depression. Like this wasn't depression. This was full blown, man, my feelings are hurt. And I'm tired of this, and I want to get away. I don't want to feel like this anymore. I want to get away from it all. But I'm reminded of a story in Genesis. God promises Abraham, he says, hey, you're going to have a child, and from that child there will be many descendants. And Abraham is old, and his wife Sarah is, I'm not going to call a woman old, but she was beyond childbearing years for sure. And in order for them to make God's promise come true, they thought that they needed to take it into their own hands. And so Sarah comes up with this ridiculous plan, and she tells Abraham, she says, hey, I want you to have with Hagar, one of her servants, and she's going to conceive a child, and that's who the blessings are going to come from. And so Abraham, like an idiot, says, yeah, sure, I'll take part in that. And so Abraham has with Hagar, and she conceives very quickly, and Sarah, Abraham's wife, rightfully so, becomes very jealous, and Sarah begins to treat Hagar very badly. She talks down to her, she talks rudely to her, and it becomes so hard on Hagar, who is now pregnant, that she believes that the best thing that she can do, because she's so hurt, is that she should run away. And after she runs away, the angel of the Lord, who I believe to be Jesus, comes up to Hagar and encourages her to return back to Sarah. And because he saw her in a time of distress, because the angel saw her in a time when she was in the wilderness, when she had ran away, Hagar describes and acknowledges this angel, who is Jesus, as El Roi, the God who sees me. In the midst of being hurt, in the midst of running away, in the midst of being in the desert, the angel of the Lord sees her. How encouraging is it to know that God, no matter where we are, that he sees us, that he loves us, and he wants us to know him, and he wants us to trust him. And here's what I've learned while going through this. I'm not the only one who's been hurt by somebody else. The struggles that I'm going through of being hurt aren't unique to just me. In fact, many people have had it way worse than me. People have walked out on you. People have hurt you with their words. People have hurt you with their hands. People have hurt you by ignoring you. Like, people won't acknowledge that they hurt you. All of those things are very hurtful. Every one of us watching this could all write this podcast themselves and say, that really hurt, or this is what broke me. But there's not a single one of us who can say that God wasn't willing to walk with you through that hurt. Like, just like Hagar, God sees you. You might not realize it, but the reason that you made it through that season that hurt so bad is because Jesus was there with you, and he sees you, and he was encouraging you. Why? Because he's a God who sees us, who wants us, who loves us, and he wants us to know and trust him. If you're in a season right now where you go, man, I'm hurting so bad, someone has hurt me so bad, trust me. You're not going through this alone. There's a God who sees you. But I've got a few more episodes that are going to be coming out this week, and I want you to know this, that there's going to be some practical applications that I've been working through on just making it through this season of how not to get stuck in the hurt. So make sure you stay tuned, make sure you subscribe, and watch the next videos that come out, and it's going to help you to understand how to process through and how to make progress through the hurt that you're going through and not get stuck in that season. I love you guys. You're not alone. There's a God who sees you.